Hi, my name is Rachel Burdis. I'm the Inward Investment Manager at Invest North East England, and I'm joined by Pat O'Connor of an immersive tech company, VRAI, who've recently expanded into the North East from their headquarters in Dublin. So hi, Pat, how are you doing?
How are you doing, Rachel? Thanks for having me.
Great. Can you tell me a bit more about your role in the company and how and when it was set up?
Sure. I'm one of the co-founders and managing director of VRAI. Myself and my co-founder are friends for a long time. We went to college together actually back in 2000, which seems like a long time ago now. And we always wanted to find a way to work with each other after that. We went our separate ways. I went into the military and he went into film and special effects. And I guess during my time in the military, my last operational deployment was in Syria during the civil war there. And, you know, had some interesting situations, which I felt ultimately we need to be able to train people better for these types of situations. And one in particular was I was leading a patrol through a village that we would often have patrolled through with no problems. And this one day I was leading a patrol with unarmed NGOs in the back. And just something felt wrong. Wasn't quite sure what, but something felt wrong. We came to a roundabout. We turned around at the roundabout, waved to a policeman, and went back to base to do an S to sit. About 30 minutes later, that policeman was beheaded by an ISIS affiliate. And I guess for us as a team that night, we were thinking, like, how did we know something was wrong? No one threatened us. Nothing was different. But obviously something in our gut told us there was something wrong. So we were kind of obsessed with the concept of how can you codify and assess and train gut instincts, spidey senses, you know, going to do the right thing at the right time. Unfortunately, I just don't have the brains to know how to do that. But I was very lucky to have a friend in Niall Campion who does. And we came together, we set up VRAI back in 2017, initially just making VR content. And then over time, we've taken on some investment in order to build out the architecture required in order to leverage the data capture capabilities in VR. So what does that mean? Ultimately, we create data-driven VR simulation for high-hazard environments. We were thinking initially about military use cases, and that's still something we're very focused on. But it also works in other, what we call risky, remote, and rare operational environments. So we've worked with leading organizations and generally large employers. So, for example, with IAG, the parent company of British Airways in Heathrow Airport, we've worked with the United Nations in Somalia, and we've worked with a number of Fortune 500. So what we've created is Heat, and Heat combines virtual reality, data capture, and data analytics to allow people to train in a more authentic, memorable, and measurable way, ultimately.
Brilliant. And you're based, is it in Dublin? And what made you kind of look at expanding into the UK and I guess the Northeast specifically?
Yeah, so we set up in Dublin. That's where both of us live. But from the very first day, we always knew that this would be like an internationally focused company. We always felt that the UK was the obvious market. It's the biggest trading partner for Ireland. It's the closest to Ireland in terms of culture, in terms of the market, the companies. And we felt that the UK was always going to be a good place for us to start to expand. However, we just weren't quite sure where to go. And I guess that's where it started, was through Department of International Trade delegation brought us over to a conference in the Northeast, the Vertigo conference. And immediately we just felt at home, I guess, in the area. We were blown away by the fact that you can get from the airport to the city on a metro in like 15 minutes. You can also drive and there's no real bad traffic. The city itself is big enough to feel like a city, but small enough to feel like you can find your way around it. And I guess that was just us being selfish as two founders who like, having a nice time. But I guess from a business point of view, what we were blown away by was this immersive technology, I guess, cluster that's in the area. And the Proto Center in particular was something we were very excited by. So from the very first moment, like, we weren't playing it cool. We just wanted to come there. But I guess at the same time, we need to make sure that it made commercial sense. So we were always looking for the right contract to happen in order to make it make sense. And we always also had one eye on Brexit because, let's be honest, none of us really know what it's going to mean. But we know as a company that we want to stay close with our customers, and our largest customers are all in the UK. So we decided to open an office in Proto recently, and we're really chuffed with that. So that's like, there's a cluster of people, there's closeness to our customers, but there's also a great place to live and work. And that's where we got excited then, when we started thinking about the potential for talent. So I think it's 5,000 computer science graduates are coming out every year between 5 universities in the area. You have the National Centre for Data Innovation in the area, which is really significant. Like, I mean, the skills that those guys have is really exciting. And then you have this clustering effect around Vertigo, and the immersive hub in Proto, means that you have probably more experienced and talented people in immersive technology per square foot than you're going to get anywhere else. Like, and I'm not just saying this, like, as far as I know, from even a quantitative point of view, I think when the Oculus Quest launched about 2 years ago, there was 15 titles on the Quest, and I think 4 of those were made in the Northeast, which is more than was made in California. So when you start combining those factors, it's a no-brainer. From a very practical point of view, there's direct flights from Dublin. It's, you know, you're not just coming to Newcastle or Gateshead, you've got the region and the cities around it. So yeah, I mean, that was broadly what brought us to the region.
I mean, yeah, you've done my job for me, Pat. Thank you. You've sold me. I'm like, I want to move here again. But I think, yeah, it's an important point, isn't it? As a business, you're looking for, can you get access to skills? Of course. And we do have a number of universities, and we have, you know, centres such as NICD, National Centre for Data. They're working with PhD students. They're working with companies to help build them teams internally for them. We've got Proto and the Immersive Lab, and a number of support networks. You mentioned Digital Catapult and Vertigo Labs as well. So is that what you're looking forward to, is kind of tapping into and using those resources in order to kind of expand your teams here? And what are your hopes for the future, I guess, within the region for this office?
Yeah, I guess one of the things that we really liked about the region was, I think why companies to Ireland is that you have this, you know, focus in Ireland of large Fortune 500 companies, but you can get to them. It's like 1 or 2 degrees of separation because it's such a small area. And I found the same in the Northeast, that like you have all these really big potential customers, you have these potential collaborators like NICD, and you can just reach out and have a chat. So that's what we've been excited about, and that's what we've been doing for the last number of weeks now, is just starting to build that network, trying to sniff out opportunities for partnerships. And in particular, I think there's a real opportunity to work with them to build our data skills within the company. And I think that's really exciting. I think their remit to build the data skill sets within local companies, I think it's a great asset to have, and particularly to have it right in your doorstep. So that's what we're working on. And I guess an industry that we also have one eye on is the offshore wind industry. And, you know, recently the Dogger Bank saw, I think it's 200 jobs go into the Port of Tyne to provide the operations and maintenance services for what will be the biggest offshore wind farm in the world. As a company, that aligns particularly well with our value sets. So we've set up our company along what's called the triple bottom line. So that means that myself and my co-founder have a responsibility to not just turn a profit, but also impact people and planet. So in terms of people, we have committed to a gender balanced company. So that means we always have gender balance, and we're held to account by the board. But on the planet side, we very early made a decision not to chase fossil fuel work, even though they were probably the earliest adopters of immersive technology for training. And that was probably a big call, and I don't know if our investors were completely keen on the idea, but they went with us on it. So offshore wind for us is where we think we can add value. It's one of these risky, remote and rare operational environments. There is, you have the energy coast now in the Northeast. So it's yet another reason for us to be there, and we're now starting to try to tap into that network and start to talk to the large developers that are in the area, like Equinor and SSE.
Brilliant. You really clued up on the region. It's really exciting to see you kind of knowing who's out there and kind of planning who you want to speak to and when, in order to really jump on these opportunities. And I think hopefully you'll have found as well that no matter what sector you speak to in the region, be it offshore wind, be it, space, satellite applications, or manufacturing, which we've got a heritage in of each, they're open to where technologies such as immersive could actually drive innovation, could help streamline processes, train up staff better, and there's a real desire to work with companies like yours. So I really wish you the best of luck and hope to see more of you guys working on some really cool, exciting things.
Cheers. And like I have to say, I mean, engaging with people like yourself, engaging with Gateshead Council and Kerry Walker there, engaging with the team in Proto, like it has been a pleasure. Like it's been, it's not normal that everyone is so helpful and so engaging, and we really have appreciated that. So we hope that we can replicate that on our side. We very much see ourselves part of Team Northeast now, and I think that we can hopefully add to the local community, add to the local business community, and drive that leveling up agenda that everyone wants to see happen.
Definitely, and I think you are already. So it's brilliant to have you here. Thank you very much, Pat. I really appreciate your time.
Cheers. Thank you.